is the fact that I can now, even when the sun doesn't shine, go out of my house and I feel like I want to go for a 10-minute walk, and I can go do that. And I can go out this weekend and have dinner with my friends without my husband being worried where I am. It's because Minka is being awarded for what she deserves. She works hard and she's being awarded for it. And the world is literally her oyster at this point.
I'm Dr. Chamonix Blanche, ex-corporate and academical turned CEO and board member of several companies and mother of 4 little extraordinary kids. But it wasn't that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the know-how, and the time to focus on designing and really going after the life that I so wanted to live. A life of freedom, of fairness, and of being fair dinkum to who I really was and what I wanted to get out of this fleeting time that we have on Mother Earth. Fast forward to many lessons learned and moving halfway around the world to the most amazing country, you'll see the life that I now live. One that gives me more safety and freedom than I ever thought would be possible, and that really only existed as a daydream while I was living in South Africa. I created Chamonix TV to give you true spot advice on how you can also live a life in this amazing country, and so that you can see how another couple like us now live in Australia with 4 little kids here in Down Under. And I'll be providing you with step-by-step strategies so that you can make your Aussie dream a reality too. If you're a keen future Aussie who's looking to create a life that excites you and offers you safety, freedom, and opportunity, you have come to the right place, my friend. Welcome aboard.
Hi, Elzaan. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from tremendously touristy, what's the other word? Just most beautiful Tasmania. I know if I think about Tasmania, I think about foodies and just beautiful green landscapes. How are you?
That's correct, yes. I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's a bit lighter here than it is for you, but it's all good. Sorry, you can hear the train. That's rural Tasmania. You can hear it. Do you hear it?
I can hear it, but
yes.
That's cool that you can actually have a train at this time of night still.
Yep. It's not always the best, but you get used to it. A girl coming from Cape Town, you don't hear the train that often. Now you you get to hear it at least once a day.
But that's good. It reminds you that you're in a different place, and you know,
yes.
It's like this. Yes. One of the reasons you moved to Australia might have been to, I don't know, to get into a place where there's more train transport. Or
yeah.
So tell us about your journey, Elzaan. Why Tasmania, and how long ago have you guys moved there?
Okay, so we arrived here in January 2019. So we are about a month away from 3 years being in Tasmania. We basically arrived here because of my husband. He's an agronomist. He used to be an agronomist in South Africa. So for people that don't know, he advises the farmers on whatever they grow. So their crops, in what, how it's going, what he needs to do when it's sick, or how can they improve their crops. So he was contacted by a recruitment agency back in South Africa with a company that came over from Australia, where they said they are looking for 9 South Africans to bring over back to Australia. And we went through the whole process. His experience was mainly in potatoes, or spuds, as they call them in Tasmania, and also the reason why we ended up in Tasmania and not on the mainland. So yes, basically it's a work opportunity and an experience in spuds that brought us to Tasmania.
And that's from Cape Town? Well, from whereabouts?
Yes, that was Durbanville in Cape Town, so the northern suburbs of Cape Town.
And you were born and bred there? Did you spend all your life in Cape Town?
I was born in Bloemfontein, center of South Africa. My husband was born in the Eastern Cape. He grew up later in life in Bloemfontein. That's where we met. And we moved to Cape Town, and we were there for about 7 years, and then we came here.
Okay, and how has this roller coaster served you so far? How has Tasmania been treating you?
Tasmania has been good. Massive shock to the system. A girl coming from Cape Town, you have access to all the big city things, and all of a sudden you're very rural, especially in Devonport. I think it might have been different if you're in Hobart, but it's been good. It grows. Tasmania grows on you very quickly. You get used to the people, you get used to the places, you get used to the scenery. Tasmania has treated us very well, to the point where probably a couple of months within us, or after us arriving here, we said, okay, so the main aim is for us to see if we can transfer, whether it might be with work or whatever, to the mainland. And it's gotten to the point now where we said, no, we're okay, we'll stay here. We'll go to the mainland to go and have a holiday or for a weekend away. But yes, we're very happy to stay here. Tasmania offers the best of everything within 20 minutes everywhere.
Lucky you, no traffic.
No traffic. We can go to the beach within 20 minutes. We can be in the middle of the bush within 20 minutes. We can be on top of a mountain in 20 minutes. So yes.
That's awesome. And it was only yourself and your husband, or do you have any dependents?
Yes, we have a daughter. Minka is her name. She is currently 8. She was 5 when we came here. So she has transformed now from a baby to a young girl. Since being here, and she absolutely loves it. When I asked her, or when I told her what I'm doing tonight, and she said, but what are you going to say? And I said, what do you want me to say? And she said, I love it here. I just love it here.
Oh,
Yes.
Mama.
She has adapted really well. It was one of our biggest concerns, like we all are, we parents. Our biggest concern usually ends up to be our kids, but they're very resilient. They're very adapt very easily, and she just took it upon herself, and she's living the Aussie life, if I can say it like that. Yes, she's very comfortable in her environment, her school. She's made friends. Obviously, the only thing it's still missing is the grandparents and the aunts and the uncles, those type of things. That's there for all of us. But other than that, yes, she has really taken on this new life of hers.
So she is then in year 2. Did she finish year 2 now?
Was in year 2 this year. She's going on to year 3 in 2022.
Yeah, yes, 2022. Gosh, yes. Can't believe we're getting to that stage of life. 2022. Yep. Okay, so was she raised Afrikaans or English?
She was raised Afrikaans. We were all raised Afrikaans. Used to speaking English, both my husband and myself, just due to work, and English being the business language in South Africa. And my husband was also schooled in English. But Minka was pure Afrikaans. Her school was Afrikaans, or her daycare. I don't know how they term or call it here. But yes, she was Afrikaans. She still understands it. She doesn't speak it that often. Minka herself has made that transition. If I go back on my phone and I look at my videos, it was about 6 or 7 months after being here, where it's almost in her mind, she decided she needs to make that switch in order for her to adapt 100%. So we make a point of it to still speak Afrikaans to her, so she'll never forget how it sounds. She still speaks some words, but she's mainly speaking English now.
Interesting how they just automatically adapt to their environment.
Yes,
and I should say, usually parents are the most concerned about how their children will adapt, but They adapt
Mhm.
long before the parents adapt.
Yes, yes. It's all fun because it's all new and it's a different world. And I do think they sometimes take some advantage of that because everyone is so worried about them. So you pay a little bit more attention to them. And I do think they enjoy that.
Yeah, of course they will. I would too if
Mhm.
somebody was paying a bit more attention to me.
Yeah.
Now, Elzaan, I know Elzaan is a very common name in South Africa.
Yes,
Please tell me it's Elzaan, is that right?
that's correct. Yep.
Please tell me what the Tasmanians call you.
Um, it's funny how certain people can get it spot on first time, and then I've had everything. I have had Elzaan, I've had L, and then they just stop. They just don't mumble the rest of it.
What's your husband's name? Does he have a true Afrikaans name?
He's Reinoud. So I think most people get it. It's just the spelling that's a bit off, but I do think most people understand that, and they get that from first introducing himself. They obviously love it when like our friends, when I say, "Oh yeah," you would call him Reinoud, but if I was back home, I would call him a Reinhard. So I would roll the R's.
Oh, that's fun. And how has he settled in with his job? Like, is what he's doing here the same what he did in South Africa, or is it a little bit of a different kind of job description?
To be honest, when he started here, he took a bit of a step back in his career, and he's moved on from the company that he was employed by after we moved, and he's in a very similar role than he used to be back in South Africa. For him, specifically in his current role, I think he adds a lot of value. For instance, things that he would say is that the farmers are more experienced back in South Africa than here, which you would not have expected because it's so rural. So you would expect them to be more able. Not that they're not able, but yes, it's a much smaller scale than what he was used to in South Africa. But similar processes. He also is working for a big corporate company, the same as he also worked for a big corporate back in South Africa. But processes more or less the same, yes. But he's enjoying it. I think he transitioned well from working back in South Africa to working here.
Okay, that's great. Because sometimes I know that it can be a bit of a culture shock for some people, depending on which industry you're in. And also, yeah, we are in a different country. Things are very similar, but it's also very different in many ways.
Different, yeah. Yes. And it's difficult to explain that to people. It's people say, "Oh, but we thought the culture is exactly the same." There's some parts of it that's the same, and then there are some parts of it that's exactly the opposite. But you can't really explain it until you haven't experienced it.
Like sense of humor. That's something that you need to get used to. I don't know the Tasmanian sense of humor, but I can tell you, having lived in Queensland and also having lived in WA, even between Queensland and WA, there is a different sense of humor.
Difference, yep.
Yeah, and
yes,
lots of slang.
I feel my husband's a very direct person, which already in that sense is a bit much for the Tasmanians. Yeah, they're very they're not used to the very direct Afrikaans humor that we we have. But yes, they do like him. They think he's absolutely hilarious, and I think it adds a bit of spunk to us as the South Africans.
But I have to ask, do you think he's hilarious, Elzaan?
Sometimes, most of the time, might not be all the time, but yes, he does have a bit of humor in him.
Oh, sweet. And who does Minka relate to more, like yourself or to Reinhard?
Oh no, she's a very good combination of the both of us. He would say she has all the bad traits from me and all the good ones from him. I would say exactly the opposite, but no, she's a very good combination of the two of us. You can clearly see that she's our daughter.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yes.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about your application process that I had to go through. Did the company apply on his behalf for the visa?
Yes, they did. So they appointed an agent who was in direct contact with us. We didn't at that point in time really have a lot of communication with the employer themselves. So we had to get all our documentation, and we communicated directly with the agent. They went through the whole process, and
agent as a migration agent or recruitment agent? Migration agent.
This was a migration agent, yes. So at first the communication was with the employer and Reynard via the recruitment agent that they hired or that they appointed in South Africa, and from there on it moved between Reynard and the migration agent, with the employer staying in the loop also. But yes, we've had direct consultation with the migration agent and provided all documents to him. We came over with a 4A2 temporary short skilled visa for 2 years. The reason for that was we had the option of getting the 4 years one, but we indicated that our aim would be, as soon as we arrive in Australia, is to apply for permanent residency as soon as possible. And that obviously would have had a cost effect for the company, for the employer. So it was probably the better choice for them to have done that. And all in all, if I had to say, Reynard was firstly contacted in July 2018. He received an offer of employment in October 2018, from where they started the process for the visa, and our visa was literally approved middle January, and a week later we flew. So wow. Yes, so we basically, because there was a bit of a hesitation on our side from July to October. You don't know, when you're confronted with it, there's so many pros and cons, and you weigh it up, and at some point he was for it and I was against it, and then we turned tables, and I was for it and he was against it. But yes, all in all, we basically had to pack up our lives in, say, 3 months, from October to January.
Wow.
Yes, so it was a quick process, which in hindsight, I think is better. It gives you less time to think. Not always good for selling up and packing up your life, but I think it makes it easier in certain aspects.
Okay, so yourself, do you work?
Yes, I started working last year, August. I'm part-time. I'm just working for a investment / property manager who works for himself. So I'm appointed as an administration, a bookkeeper, a PA. So I work one-on-one for him. I basically help to manage all his communication, all his work that comes in, and manages the output for the different properties. It's both residential and commercial properties that he owns. So I manage the rental thereof, and then I'm the link between him and the accountant for any accounting or reporting purposes. Yes.
Okay, so you're his everything at this point in time, because you do
correct.
everything.
Yes, that's correct. I'm basically his right hand. And a very good understanding that I have with him, because it was one of my important factors is the fact that I have Minka. And at that point in time, when I started working for him, we were still on the 402 visa. So we didn't qualify for any assistance with regards to childcare and aftercare and those type of things. And the arrangement was there that I work mostly school hours, and in holidays or during holidays, I work when and if possible.
Lovely. That's a really, really good arrangement to be able to have, because those jobs are quite popular.
Yes.
I can imagine of so many mums that would like to have that. How did you get that? How did you get that job? You don't mind me asking. Was it an ad in the paper or something that you saw?
I applied on Seek for it, along with probably 50 other applications. And that is the one that I managed to get the interview for, and I had a discussion with him, and yes, and I was offered the job. So yes, it was a usual job ad on Seek that I applied for.
And what is your background? Did you work in South Africa?
Yes, I studied BCom Actuarial Science. I have my honors also. I used to work for ABSA and then later for Sanlam, where I managed, and I've already transitioned to Aussie slang, but I used to manage pension funds, which they obviously call here superannuation funds. So yes, I was corporately driven. I was in a managerial position. I had a team, bit of a workaholic. So I've gone from the one extreme to the other.
Okay, well, you maybe you did for a while, but now you work again. So, you know, you've got that perfect balance now.
Yes,
you're in the perfect spot that most mums would like to be in.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, the arrangement from what was for us that we decided on between me and Reynard is after arriving here that I will not work for a while. So it will be my sole responsibility with his assistance just to settle us in as a family. Need to attend to Minka to make sure that the support is there for her and that she adapts and gets into school and all her activities and have a bit of a smooth transition from moving to South Africa to Australia. And then also from there on, dealing with our application for permanent residency, which in itself at sometimes felt like a permanent job for me, just because of all the paperwork and everything that you need to do. So yes, that was the arrangement. And then I got a bit bored and I needed a bit of a challenge. So yes, that's where I started looking for a job. And like you say, I've managed to find that perfect balance.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really great. In terms of the permanent residency application, so you did that yourself or did you use an agent for that?
No, we used an agent, a different agent to the one that we initially worked with through the employer. We appointed someone that's based in Queensland, and she assisted us with we have a 190, so it's a Tasmanian sponsored visa. And that was approved May this year, so May 2021.
Yay!
It was yes, it was stressful times because our visa was supposed to expire, our 482 temporary visa was supposed to expire obviously the end of January this year, and then COVID hit. And they closed everything off. We couldn't get invites. We couldn't get our application through. We didn't know whether we should extend the 482 visa. I must say it was probably one of the hardest, most difficult times in our life. Just getting through that point where you don't know. You literally, you don't know which way to go and you don't know what's going to happen. All we said to ourselves and we said to our agent, we're willing to do everything and anything, but we're not going back to South Africa. We've packed up our life. Our life is now in Australia and we are not willing to do this all again and go back to Australia, South Africa. All in all, it happened. And it's true what they say when you get that, first of all, when you get that phone call to say that we've received the invite, people don't understand it. My Australian friends here, they kept partying every time and celebrating every time with us when I said, yay, we got an invitation, and then yay, our application is in, and then yay, we have our permanent residency. Every time they would say, okay, so you're here to stay, and I said, no, not yet. This is just the first, just a step in the process. But yes, I cannot explain to you the relief that you have as soon as that permanent residency was approved. It changes life for you. And we basically coming January a year away from being able to apply for citizenship.
Citizenship, yeah, because you've got to be in the country for 4 years. Yeah.
Yes.
How exciting. So what's the first thing you're going to do when you get citizenship apart from getting your passport? Have you bought a house yet?
No, that's the plan for us, is to do that. COVID has made it difficult. Property prices are rising very, very quickly, and we're getting
But just hang in there. I'm sure it's going to come down again.
Yes, yes, and it seems like a lot of people from the mainland are coming back to or coming over to Tasmania. I've heard my boss say the other day that for years and years and years, people weren't willing to come to Tasmania, but it's almost as if they discovered now the hidden secret of Tasmania. So the mainlanders are flocking here.
Oh well, good. It's good
Yes.
it's good for the growth of Tasmania.
It
But
is.
I have to say, the whole of Australia is just. People said the borders were closed, but it seems like the borders were massively open, just in the sheer growth of property prices and and demand for property. You think, but where did everybody come from suddenly?
Yes.
They must have come from outside, because how on earth can the demand grow if you have the same number of people all the time
coming in? Yep.
And surely we didn't populate that quickly. I did my part. I had 4 kids.
Yes.
Oh dear. Okay, and so if you had to say there's one thing that you would have done differently, what would that be?
Because, and that's what I said in the beginning, or our process, where it's a pro and a con of having 3 months to pack up your life. We unfortunately were in a difficult position where we had to leave South Africa with our house still in the market. It wasn't sold yet. It was just before the 2020, was it 2020, 2021? Oh, I can't remember. Election in South Africa. There was a bit of, the typical unrest, and property prices or property forecast weren't that good. It's the one thing that bit us a bit, is our struggle to have sold and packed up our life finally back in South Africa. So we had to do that from Australia, which is not easy. I would always tell people, as far as possible, or as much as possible, finalize what you can in South Africa before you come over. For us, it was, we do it or we don't do it. So we didn't have that choice. I think if you're on a permanent residency visa already when in South Africa, it makes it maybe a bit easier, because you're not necessarily dependent on a job offer or an employer bringing you over. But yes, that's so yeah, it's difficult to say. It's not necessarily something that we would have changed, but it's advice that I would give someone. It's a difficult process to go through when you're 10,000 kilometers away,
and the time difference as well that adds to it.
Yes.
Okay, so you managed to sell in the end.
We managed to sell, yes. A bit of a process, but we got there.
Good. So when you came over, what did you bring? Did you bring everything or nothing or some things?
We brought too much, but things that I would never have been able to part with. So again, we were in the lucky position that the employer had a budget, a moving budget for us. So they provided an amount for us to bring a container over, and we added on to that container, the cost of that container.
Was that a 40 foot or a 20 foot?
20. No, it was a 20. It was a 20 foot. So it wasn't too much. But we've just, before we came over, we moved we used to be in Paarl in South Africa. We used to live in Paarl. So just 2 years before we came over, we moved to Durbanville. So a lot of our things, beds, TVs, some things were brand new, and we couldn't justify selling that and then replacing that on this side. So it's stuff like that, and the odd piece of furniture or things that I've taken over from my parents, or Reynard has taken over from his house where he grew up in. And I must say, I often read comments about people coming here with their bags and people saying now they brought everything with. You cannot explain that feeling when that truck arrives here and it's a bit of your life and a bit of you that is unpacked. You feel like a child on Christmas Eve. It's awesome. It's awesome to have your stuff.
Especially if you haven't seen it for like what, 3 months, or how long did it take for your stuff?
Yeah. So yeah, our stuff arrived here in end of April, basically. Yes.
So what did you do for that in between stage? Where did you live? In what kind of accommodation?
Very privileged that the employer arranged a furnished apartment for us to stay in. So they covered the cost for the first month, and then we were responsible for month 2 and 3, and then we moved into our own rental, all making the process a bit easier for us. It helps when you know someone is there who has your back. The employer the assistance was very good. I don't know how we would have managed if we didn't have it. It helped a lot.
Yeah. And was it easy, okay enough for you to find a rental? Was it hard for you?
No. No.
Because of the size of your container content.
It's not necessarily finding the property, is being approved for the property. With the property booming, the rental market is absolutely it's do or die. I'm literally saying it's 35 applications per property minimum at that stage. I don't even want to know what it is like now. It's difficult coming here. You have no references, and we never rented back in South Africa, so we didn't even have a reference to give from there. We owned all our properties before. It ended up with Reynard's employer willing to write a letter to say that they will stand as guarantor for us in the rental property, and that basically did it for us. And also the fact that I've managed to establish a bit of a relationship specifically with one of the rental agents here in Devonport, and with a backup of the employer, that assisted a lot. And she contacted me and she said, "Now I found you something, and I've kept it for you." And we came and we liked it. It was very very suitable for our needs, and yes, luckily ended up well. But it's not easy finding a rental property.
Is that the same place you're still in now?
Yes, so it's the same place. We're very happy here, and hopefully when we move out here, out of this rental property, we will move into our own house.
Oh, how exciting. And that could be within a year's time.
Let's hope that.
Oh, thank you, Elzaan. It's been so great to hear your story and how you guys have moved. And I just really love the fact that you guys it wasn't like you were actively looking at coming to Australia. They approached you.
Yes.
And how you guys, without even having been here, when you were still in South Africa, then decided in that period between July and was it October?
Yeah.
That's it. You're gonna come, and there's no turning back. That to me takes incredible braveness. So wow, hats off to you guys. And
thank you.
I'm so glad it has worked out well for you. And for Minka, it's just so excited that she can live a life of abundance and freedom and just do what a child can do and run around outside.
Exactly. It's mostly, I assume, for most people in our position, that's who we do it for. It's for our kids, and we're providing a bit of security and what life should be about for them.
Would you do it again if you had to?
I would do it again. Maybe yes, here and there, maybe change something. But yes, I'd definitely do it again. Like I said before, we miss family really very much. COVID hasn't made it easier. But if you had taken that out of the equation, there's actually nothing else that's a negative about it.
What's the best thing for you about living in Australia?
is the fact that I can now, even when the sun doesn't shine, go out of my house and I feel like I want to go for a 10-minute walk, and I can go do that. And I can go out this weekend and have dinner with my friends without my husband being worried where I am. Or if I don't, I'm having so much fun, I'm not answering my phone. It's not because something happened to me. It's just because I'm having fun. It's because Minka is being awarded for what she deserves. She works hard and she's being awarded for it. And the world is literally her oyster at this point.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Heartwarming. Thanks again, Elzaan, for sharing your story and for hopefully encouraging some of our South African friends to be brave and also take the plunge, or
Yes.
just pack the container and come.
Yes, just do it. Yes,
just do it.
It's never going to be easy. There's never going to be a right time for it. That's exactly what we said. If not now, when? There's always going to be something that holds you back, or something that's not convenient, but you get over it and you live with it.
That's true. All right, say hi to Reinhard and big hugs to Minka. We'll talk again.
Yes, I'll do that. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you had fun, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and then it'll make sure that you never miss a thing. I'll see you same time and same place next week. Bye for now.